all of our guests here in the room, those who are on vacation, and I hope looking at us online, as well as our other guests. So thank you so much for joining us. We're especially also happy to welcome a very important guest. We have with us today the Executive Director of the League of Women Voters of Florida, Julia Cervantes. Julia, would you stand up? We're so happy to have her here. If you are so inclined, I'd like to welcome all of you to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Today's forum is being live streamed on Facebook Live, and it will also be available later on our League of Women Voters of Orange County YouTube channel. So for those of you who would like to watch this incredible debate or forum again, you have the opportunity to see it online. Today is the first of two judicial forums we will be having. Today we are presenting the bench press of candidates for the Orange County judge races, and next month on July 15th, that's a slightly different day than the normal day that we do on the second Wednesday. July 15th, we will hold the second forum on the contested races for the Ninth Judicial Circuit Court. So do join us for that. And if you have not already done so, please silence your mobile devices. I'm now going to ask if there is anyone in the audience who is an elected official or has filed and is a candidate running for office. If you could join us at the mic over to the left and introduce yourselves. We ask that you limit your introduction to your name and your title. Of course, the candidates who are going to be on the podium, on the panel, do not need to introduce themselves, but everybody else, please take this opportunity to let us know you're in the room. We also ask that you do not give speeches for the sake of time and our agenda. Thank you.
Ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Angie Gardner. I am a candidate for District 7 of the Orange County Board of County Commissioners. Your story matters.
Good morning. LaShonda K. Jackson, Ninth Circuit Court Judge.
Good morning. Alicia Payton Robinson, Circuit Court Judge here in the Ninth Circuit.
Good morning. My name is Tamika Hampton Johnson. I'm running for Ninth Circuit Court Judge, Group 1.
Christina Arguelles, Ninth Circuit Judge, Group 2.
Good morning. Amy Carter, Orange County Court Judge.
Good morning. Christy Mitchell, Ninth Circuit Judge, Group 2.
Eric Dubois, Orange County, current Orange County Judge, not seeking re-election this time.
Thank you all. I'd now like to take a moment to introduce and thank our sponsors for their support in helping us put on events like this. First, our bronze sponsor, the Honorable Cynthia McKinnon and her husband Alex. Silver sponsors, Lynn and David Berelsman. Voting voices, which include Michelle Levy, Caroline Emmon Schramm, Lori and Richard Wack, and Charlie Williams. The Kindred Three, which include Joan Irwin, Sue Foreman, and myself. Friends of the League include the Honorable Fred Lawton and Shelley Lawton, the Honorable Bob LeBlanc and Joni LeBlanc, and Dr. Gloria Picard. Our visionary sponsors are Jennifer and Phil Anderson, and will all of our sponsors who are here today and not on vacation, please stand so that we can acknowledge and thank you. If you would like to add your name to this prestigious list, I'd love to chat. Another league hat I wear is that of the Chair of Fund Development. So I'm going to take a moment to talk about a campaign we have going on right now. And I'd like to extend a special thank you to the Andersons. Their visionary leadership has allowed us to put on a matching campaign that ends this month that will allow us to match dollar for dollar any donation that is given right now, and up to $25,000. So that means your support will help us double down at this critical time on the defense of our democracy and empowering voters. Every election is important, but this year's elections, from my point of view, may be the most consequential of our lifetime. And in Florida and across the country, we are seeing unprecedented efforts to restrict access to voting and to restrict fair representation. Your support is so key to pushing back against these challenges and ensuring that our country can continue to be a fair and inclusive one for all. Your local support fuels voter education and engagement, targeted outreach and advocacy across Orange County, especially in low propensity groups, informing voters about changes to voting rules, which seem to be happening every day, making sure our voices are heard and count on so many critical issues at stake this year on every level. These elections will shape our ability to engage in free and fair elections in the future. And we are so deeply grateful to each and every one of you who has contributed to the campaign already. Your support has helped us get to $11,000, but we are a bit away from 25. So if you have not yet made a gift, this moment is for you. You have the option to use the donation envelopes on the table. If you'd like to give a gift today or take this home with you, you can mail it back. Or there's also on your tables a sheet with a QR code, and there's a QR code on the screen here that you can simply scan and make a donation electronically. Your gift will go twice as far to help protect the freedom to vote. So please give before the match ends. We appreciate all of your support. Our moderator today is Circuit Court Judge Roger McDonnell. Judge McDonnell is a lifelong Floridian who served in the U.S. Air Force before becoming and practicing law in Orlando for 23 years. He was elected as a judge in the Ninth Judicial Circuit Court, and he continues to serve as a judge on an as-needed basis. If you would join me in welcoming Judge McDonnell to the podium and thank him for being here.
All right, thank you, Lee. For the benefit of those here and online, I would like to introduce the League of Women Voters. The League is made up of women and men who care deeply about America, democracy, and having an informed voters. It is nonpartisan, meaning its members come from all political parties or no political party. What unites them is the commitment to the common good rather than special interest. The work of the League is to study important public issues such as gerrymandering, encourage public discussion, and to then advocate positions and to encourage voter knowledge and voting. If this interests you, then look online for the League of Women Voters of Orange County, Florida, and come to the next meeting and consider joining the League. Since we will be talking about judges, I would like to recognize a particular judge. First, our own Charlie Wells, who served on the Florida Supreme Court from 1994 until his retirement in 2009. He was appointed by the beloved Governor Lawton Chiles. I've known Justice Wells my entire legal career, which has been about 55 years now, 35 years as a judge. And I want to tell you that I have never met a finer person, which is the most important thing, and finest judge, but Charlie Wells, just a wonderful person. We also have Cynthia McKinnon with us, and Judge McKinnon began her judicial career in 1974 as a municipal judge, and then went on to serve as a county judge, and then went on to serve as a circuit judge, retiring in 2010 after an extraordinary, successful career of public service. Cynthia, where are you? There you are. There you are. There you are. And in addition, my personal friend and club member is Maura Smith, but I didn't see Maura here. Wave your, Maura isn't here. So Maura Smith is, I'm just getting over a cold, so pardon my horsiness. And so Maura Smith is a member. She was a circuit judge for 30 years and retired in 2019. Today's program gives us the opportunity to interview the candidates for 3 open seats for county judge of Orange County. There were 2 other open seats, but those have been filled by appointment by the governor according to law. A county judge handles most of the legal issues that people are likely to encounter. Example, small claims court, landlord and tenant, which is mostly evictions, disputes involving damages up to $50,000, misdemeanor criminal cases such as DUI, petty theft, assault and battery, and traffic offenses. They also determine probable cause for someone who is arrested, and they set bond and conditions of release. A judge takes an oath to follow the law, not personal opinions or political pressure. One of the primary reasons for supporting the election of judges is to preserve judicial independence. ensuring that a judge's loyalty is to the Constitution and to the public, not a government official or political party or any special interest group. County judges must be knowledgeable of the law. They must be polite, calm, and efficient with their time. They must be able to deal with all types of people and sometimes with very emotional situations. In every case, there are winners and losers. To the winners, the judge is a genius and reasonable person. To the loser, the judge is an idiot. There are currently 20 county court judges who are elected to a 6-year term. Judges are assigned to different divisions and they move around as needed. That's one of the functions of the chief judge, is to move around the judges as needed. They handle a large caseload. Last year, I looked it up, and the criminal case filings in Orange County alone was 14,595 misdemeanor cases, 14,000. And civil, that is non-criminal cases, in Orange County, believe it or not, was 92,503 cases were filed in our county. As you see, knowing civil law is very important as well as knowing criminal law. Elections are a type of job interview. I suggest the following qualifications for you to consider when selecting who to vote for. Temperament. What kind of patience do they have? Are they truly courteous? Maturity, ability to handle upset people? Do they have clarity in their speech and thought and writing? Secondly, work experience, non-legal and legal. That is, given the volume of cases, wide types of cases, a judge needs serious work experience. It's not for the lazy. Courtroom experience. They need courtroom experience, real active being there, standing in front of the judge and jury, and not just some reference. Oh, I know lawyers go to court. No, courtroom experience. Reputation. We're always hearing people, I don't know who to vote for when it comes to judge. Well, you do. It's called working to get the knowledge. Ask your lawyer. Ask lawyers that you know. Who do you recommend? What experience have you had with this person or that person? Also, the Orlando Sentinel provides a very good information and endorsement procedure. I always look on the Orlando Sentinel at the time of voting and decide who to vote for. Ethics, disciplinary history, and arrests, if any. I will now explain the format for today's today's forum. Candidates who oppose each other will be called to the stage in alphabetical order. Their biographies are available on the League's website under Hot Topics. Our timekeeper seated in the front row. Where are you, timekeeper? Oh, there you are. Okay, looking everywhere but the right place. Will signal when a candidate is down to 30 seconds remaining, and again when the time has expired. When time is up, speaking must stop, even in mid-sentence. but it will show us who can follow rules and who can't. I must enforce time limits so that we can remain on schedule and ensure fairness for all of the candidates. Each candidate will have 90 seconds for an opening statement. Following the opening statements, I will tell the time for the question and then give a question, and then each candidate will answer. We ask the audience to please hold your applause, except for me. All right. Until the conclusion of the entire forum, so that there is no favoritism shown and that the candidate's time is not consumed with applause. Well, we have 3 groups, and the word group, when people use group, that's really how they're listed on the ballot. You run in a group. And so we have Group 5, which will be Asima, Azam, and versus Carrie Kennedy. Group 17 will be Judge Cherish Adams and Joy Goodyear. And in Group 21, Judi Hayes and Judge Mark Miller. Now I call up the candidates for Group 5, Asima, Azam, and Kafi Kennedy. So come on up, whichever place you want to sit. Everybody settled? Everybody in good order? Yeah, check your microphones.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Okay. All right, remember, keep them close to you. This is a minute and a half question. This is your chance to give an opening statement. We start with Ms. Azam. Please start.
First, I just want to thank all the league members who decided to attend today. It's very important for the voters to be informed about who is running for judge. My name's Asima Azam. I'm an attorney in town. I've been practicing law for 23 years. 22 of those years were at the law firm of Devine and Estes, a civil, business, litigation, and real estate law firm. In addition to that, I was a special magistrate for the Orange County Tax Collector for 6 years, and I am also a certified circuit civil mediator. So I do believe when I'm talking to voters, I qualify in the experience category. One of the things that I try to talk to voters about is, as Judge McDonald mentioned, over 80% of the cases filed in county court are civil law cases, but yet in the last several years, a lot of the candidates that have come forth to run for judge have had a criminal background. When I do my law firm walkthroughs, to the table. I've done a lot of landlord-tenant work, a lot of breach of contract work, small claims. All of that was in county court over the last 23 years. In addition, I feel like the quasi-judicial experience as a special magistrate is very important because I have sat in a seat where I'm required to act as an impartial, take evidence, weigh that evidence, and then render an opinion that's impactful to the public. In terms of life experience, one of the big things that I like to talk about...
Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry.
We have, and so go ahead, and Kafi Kennedy, go ahead, start.
Thank you so much for everyone that has attended and allowing me the opportunity to speak to you. Judge McDonald swore me in 18 years ago at the Booking Release Center, so it's an honor to be with him again today. I am Kafi Kennedy, and yes, my name is unique. It means quiet one in Swahili. My parents thought it would be, but it is not true. And so thank you for the opportunity to be here. I believe it's very important to have the experience. I've been an assistant public defender, an assistant state attorney, had my own law firm, also been of counsel at a number of law firms. I've had both criminal experience and civil experience, but more importantly, I have been in the county, been in speaking to the public, been in community service organizations. I'm the immediate past president of the Orange County Bar Foundation, which is the charitable arm of the Orange County Bar. I'm the past president of the Paul C. Perkins Bar Association. I've done the Orange County experience, been on the Orange County Board of Buildings Appeals and Adjustments. So not just being in the courtroom and being in the litigation world, but making sure I'm touching people and getting in the community. Service is the rent we pay for the space we occupy here in this county. I am married to a captain of the sheriff's office. We have a 4- and 6-year-old, so very busy, and we have a little dog named Oreo. So thank you for this opportunity to be here today.
All right, thank you. So what we're going to do is I will alternate who goes first in all fairness. So, Ms. Kennedy, have you ever been arrested or this is a 1-minute question. Have you ever been arrested or had a client file a grievance with the Florida Bar or the Supreme Court taken any disciplinary actions against you?
I have never been arrested. I have had a client file a complaint with the Florida Bar that was dismissed. I've never had any Florida Supreme Court action. As an assistant public defender, there were a number of times when clients filed grievances, but nothing happened. I've also served on the Ninth Judicial Grievance Committee.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Azam?
No, I have not had any grievances filed or any action taken.
All right, this is a 1-minute limit. How old are you? I know that shouldn't be. And are you mature enough to judge other people's legal problems?
This is an interesting question. I am 46 years old. I have been practicing law for 23 years. I graduated from college 2 years early. So I may be younger than some of my peers who have been practicing for 23 years. But yes, absolutely. Like I mentioned, I think my work as a special magistrate has really prepared me for dealing with situations in which clients come in, are zealously advocating for their position, and it's the job of the judge to, one, be an impartial. I've been practicing for 23 years, so I know a lot of the attorneys that come before me, and I am still able to evaluate their cases and render a decision that is impartial.
All right, thank you. 1 minute. Ms. Kennedy, have you ever had to advocate a legally correct position that was contrary to your personal moral or political beliefs?
Yes, as an assistant public defender, I have argued plenty of times of things that were different than my moral belief, however, always followed the law. And so advocating on behalf of my client is presenting the evidence and how a judge could see it in a different light, or if there was any ambiguity in the law, to argue what was in the best interest for my client.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Azam.
Yes, I mean, in the civil realm, it's a little bit different, but we are hired to advocate for our clients and get the best result for them possible. I've had very insistent clients who come to me with wanting to argue a position which I don't necessarily agree with, or I don't think is a strong case, but I will advocate their position in order to get the best result for them.
All right, thank you. 1 minute. How should a judge handle litigants who are emotional and difficult, Ms. Kennedy? I'm sorry. Ms. Azam.
I think my experience as a mediator has really prepared me to handle people who come into a room emotionally charged. Both sides come in believing that they're absolutely right and the other side is wrong, and my job is to, at the end of the mediation, bring them towards resolution. Typically, when I have them alone and we're caucusing, I try to take the temperature down by asking them what this case is really about. If you take away the emotion on how you feel about the person on the other side, what can you live with in this situation in order to get it resolved? I feel like I have the temperament to connect with people, and once they trust me, they will typically calm down, give me their absolute cannot live without, and then we move cases towards resolution.
All right, Ms. Kennedy.
I think it's very important to treat people with respect. No matter what side I have been in the criminal world, whether that's the prosecutor or the defense attorney, when people feel like they were treated with respect, they were heard, they were allowed to say whatever it is they came to say, and as long as they were respectful, that they handled it and they were okay with whatever the outcome is. So it's very important to make sure that you're giving people respect, no matter where they come from, where their background is, whatever type of case it is. So I have tried to make sure that I'm always respectful of my clients, respectful of the opposing side. I think anyone I've ever practiced against, they have always said I've been respectful. So even if we are coming from different points of view or perspectives, that I always give people respect.
All right. Ms. Kennedy, if you have an eviction case for non-payment of rent, the tenant has 3 small children and the parents are out of work, and there is no legal reason to not grant the eviction, would you put the family on the street and give the property back to the rental company?
It is important for me to follow the law no matter what the law is. It is unfortunate for that family in that situation, but it is to reach out to your legislatures to build the law, to make the law. It is not for the judge in that moment to change what the law says. So I would follow the law in that situation.
Mrs. Song?
I would similarly say that I would follow the law as written, but as judges know, or anyone who's acting in a judicial capacity knows, everything comes to you with context. I would make sure that the law was followed. Did the individual get the proper notice that they were required to get? If they got the proper notice, have they been given an opportunity to provide their side of the story? If they got the proper notice, but something had prevented them from paying, all those factors come into consideration. So when we talk about applying the law as written, absolutely, but we don't want to apply the law in a way that defeats the purpose of the statute that was enacted, and we also need to consider the context in which the law was breached or a violation occurred.
All right, thank you both, and you can return to your seats now.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now I will bring up candidates for Group 17, which is Cherish Adams and Joy Goodyear. All right, we have a minute and 30 seconds, and this, like we did before, is for opening statements, and we'll start first with Ms. Adams.
All right, good afternoon, I think it is now. I'm Cherish Adams. I am serving as a county court judge and have been since 2023. I'm a proud member of the league, and I've had the honor of serving in both a civil division and a criminal division as a judge. I grew up in a working class home. Both of my parents are teachers and still are teachers here in Orange County. I'm honored to have had the privilege of serving as a judge. This is something that I had desired to do since I was a teenager. As a teenager, my best friend suffered a family tragedy as a result of gun violence, and I knew then that I wanted to be a lawyer. And so I pursued that, and I've dedicated my career to serving here in Orange County. I clerked for the 5th District Court of Appeal, and I served as a prosecutor here in Orange County in the Ninth Judicial Circuit for over 9 years. In that time, I prosecuted sex crimes, violent crimes, and homicides. I have had over 80 jury trials, 67 as an attorney, and 17 as a presiding judge, and those were felony criminal jury trials that I presided over. I'm honored to be here today and look forward to the questions, and hope to have your vote on or before August 18th.
All right, Ms. Goodyear.
Thank you for letting us come here today. This is a very valuable moment. I also am a member of the league and really appreciate all the work that you do. My name is Joy Goodyear. I have been a resident of Orange County for the past 26 years. Both my children were born and raised here. I was a Girl Scout leader and a track coach. As a child, I was raised by a single mom, a mom who had to work 3 jobs to help support our family. She taught me that the most important thing a person can have is empathy for others. She taught me to notice when other people were struggling and to help whenever I could. When I was in high school, I did a day of career shadowing with the Public Defender's Office. On that day, the attorney I was assigned to was covering county court arraignments. When we walked down to the courtroom, the lobby was filled with people, all waiting for their court date. They were scared, they were overwhelmed. I watched as the attorney called each name, and the person came up, explained their story, and the attorney answered their questions and helped them. I saw firsthand the relief they felt simply because someone took the time to listen. I was the first in my family to go to college. I then graduated from Stetson University and Stetson Law School and got a job with the Public Defender's Office, which I've been at for the past 28 years, fighting for those who have no one else to stand up for them. If elected to the bench, I will bring these experiences with me. I will remember that every case is unique, that every story deserves to be told, and that sometimes the solutions lie in solving problems beneath the surface. Thank you.
All right. And we'll start with Ms. Goodyear. Have you ever been arrested or had a client file with the Florida Bar a complaint or the Supreme Court taken any disciplinary action against you?
No, I've never been arrested, and I've never had a complaint filed.
Same to that, no.
All right, 1 minute. In county civil, most people don't have attorneys. How do you conduct a fair trial for people who are representing themselves? And so we'll start with you.
I think that's one of the reasons that I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to serve in county court. I really like working with people. I know as a judge you have to be really careful not to advocate for them and just make sure that they understand the process, and that's something that I would be able to do. Having represented individuals my entire career, that has kind of been my responsibility to kind of explain what's happening and the process. And I think as a judge, as long as they understand everything, then even in a civil court, you would be able to help them through that process without advocating for them, and if necessary, refer them to resources that could help them.
I've had the privilege of being able to do this. So I'm currently assigned to the civil division, and when I was first on the bench, my first assignment was in civil. So I have over a year of experience working with this, and you're correct. A lot of the litigants who come to county court don't have an attorney. They're there because somebody is trying to evict them and they can't pay their rent. So of course they can't pay an attorney. And when they come to court, it's a scary experience. They don't know what to expect. And so I start every hearing with a self-represented litigant by explaining the process. I explain to them first what we are there for that day, what we are not there for that day, and I explain what is going to happen during the hearing. I explain who is going to be speaking first, that each party will have an equal opportunity to be heard, and I explain that process so that everybody understands what is going to happen. You're right, not everybody who comes to court can win, right? Only one side usually is going to win a case unless we can reach an agreement. But my goal and my hope is that anybody, oh, I saw the stop sign.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Adams, this is 1 minute. In a courtroom, many times cases come down to two people telling two different stories. As a judge, how would you determine who is being truthful?
So some of this comes with experience, right? And being able to hear testimony. As a prosecutor, I presented testimony, I heard testimony from other people, and so I come into this with some level of common sense, right, that I'm applying to the testimony that I'm hearing. You also look at whether it is consistent with other evidence in the case. Did the party present any evidence to support it? If they're saying that they paid, do they have a receipt? Do they have a bank statement showing that they paid? And you consider somebody's demeanor. At the end of the day, there's one party, the plaintiff, who has the burden of proof in the case. And so if it comes down to you believe both of them equally or you don't think that the plaintiff has met their burden, then you're going to rule for the defense because it's the plaintiff's job to prove their case.
Ms. Goodyear.
Yes, I deal with this on a pretty regular basis because a lot of the cases we see are that. And my clients don't always understand that. They say, oh, this person's saying this about me, but it didn't happen, and they don't have any proof. And I tell them, well, their testimony is proof, their testimony is evidence. So it can be enough. Obviously, we'd love for everything to be on film, we'd love there to be proof of everything, but that's just not the way it works. But the burden of proof is really important. You have to see which party has that burden of proof, and you need to be able to evaluate the testimony. Look at their demeanor, look at what they're saying, and look for inconsistencies. To me, that's the key thing. When someone's saying something that's not true, it's really hard to not have some inconsistency in the testimony. But the burden of proof would always, if it's a tie case, the burden of proof is going to decide it.
All right, thank you. 1 minute. County court deals with a broad range of issues such as breach of contract, evictions, criminal cases. And so, Ms. Goodyear, tell us what education and life experience you have had that will help you decide cases.
So as most attorneys, usually we specialize in one area. Obviously, I've been a public defender for 28 years, so my specialty is criminal law. That's what I do. However, I have taken several pro se cases. I've handled some landlord evictions and some small claims cases. So I do have some minor experience in civil law. But I think it's more the courtroom experience that really comes into play. I think being a public defender, being in court every single day, knowing the rules of evidence, knowing the roles of the other people in the court, like the clerk and the bailiff, I think those are really important. And I think I would rely on those experiences to guide me through whatever assignment I received.
So I have experience with both civil and criminal. So my background, I told you I clerked at the 5th District Court of Appeal. As a clerk, we handled all kinds of cases. Anything that was appealed to the 5th District, civil, criminal, family, all of those we handled. And so I clerked for a judge there for 2 years, handling all types of different cases. I then served as a prosecutor for just over 10 years, and I've tried a lot of criminal cases, so obviously I have that experience. But I also have experience as a judge handling civil cases. I didn't know civil before I came to the bench, and I had the experience of being able to learn civil and the unique rules and procedures that do apply to small claims and eviction cases that have a summary procedure, and being able to preside over hundreds, I think at this point, of non-jury trials and evidentiary hearings in civil. And that is where I'm currently assigned. So I have both experiences.
Okay. All right, 1 minute and 30 seconds, and this is the last question for this group. You preside over first appearances for people who were just arrested. What factors would you consider in a domestic violence case where a man beat up his wife? How would you set bail and conditions of release?
I have some unique experience with this because as a county court judge, this is a lot of what we do. And I was assigned for just over a year, closer to a year and a half, handling pretrial detention hearings in Orange County. So when individuals were arrested and they came to court on serious offenses, including serious domestic violence offenses, I was the one who would decide whether they could be released or whether they needed to be held pretrial detention. There are statutory factors that we can, there are statutory factors that we consider, and those include somebody's arrest history, the facts of the case, the arguments of the parties, which is important, whether the state is seeking pretrial detention or agreeing to release, and the victim's wishes. A lot of times in those cases, the victim appears, and you can see them. You can see their appearance shortly after. Do they have marks on them? Do they have bruises on them? And what are the facts of the case? Was a weapon involved? And does that individual have a history of domestic violence offenses, and particularly offenses against that individual? So those are all the factors that I would consider in determining whether to set a bond, along obviously with the facts of the case.
Right, thank you.
So first appearance hearings are things that we rotate through our office. So I do them probably once every 2 months. And there are a lot of factors to consider, especially in a domestic case. So first of all, when it comes to you, all you have at that point is the police report for the most part. So you're reading the police report, you're reading what was said. It's mostly just people's statements. I very rarely have seen pictures or anything at that point. It's usually just the statements in the police report. So there are certain things that you follow by statute. You have to make sure there's probable cause. You have to make sure the elements were met. You also have a certain amount of bond that would apply, like if it's a misdemeanor case. The bond may be like $1,000, but if it's maybe an aggravated charge, it's going to be more like $15,000. But so there are certain standards that we follow. In addition, domestic cases pose other problems. These people live together. They have maybe children together. So all of the belongings of the person are back at the house. But you don't want that person going back to the house and maybe having another dispute. So you need to do what's called a civil standby, which is where the sheriff can go with them and watch as they collect their belongings and get another place. You're also going to be issuing no contact orders, which are telling them that the parties shouldn't be in contact unless a future hearing is held where a judge can more have testimony come in, talk to the witnesses, and see in that particular situation what the best conditions should be. So there's a lot of different things to consider in a domestic type case.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you. Candidates, please return to your seats. I will now call Group 21 to the front. Judi Hayes is present. Judi, there you are. But Judge Mark Miller was unable to attend and will appear in a previously recorded Zoom interview where he answered the same questions from me. Okay, then go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Longtime listener, first-time caller. It feels surreal to introduce myself to the League of Women Voters. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. I'm honored to address the League, of which I've been a member for so many years. My name is Judi Garabo Hayes, and I'm running for County Judge in Group 21, Orange County. As a longtime League member, you know me as an advocate for public education, for disability, generally a community member who has served in a variety of roles. But I'm also a lawyer. I grew up here. I went to Oak Ridge High School. I graduated from Florida State University and Florida State University College of Law. Go Noles. Excited to send a child there again this year. While I was there, I also had the honor of working with Justice Wells. I was a clerk for Justice Harry Lee Anstead at the Florida Supreme Court in 1998. When I graduated, I came back home to Orlando and started practicing law. I served in a variety of different roles, all in civil litigation for many years. The bulk of my career was with Greenberg Traurig, doing litigation in their litigation department. If you're not a lawyer, that means that I was in court all the time. I took some time off to raise children, during which I was very involved with the community. I have always practiced part-time. I'll tell you a little bit more about that when I have more time. And I'm very, very excited about this opportunity to step back in. Thank you.
All right. And let me ask you, we're just going to do one. I will ask you all your questions, and then we'll just play that video. Okay. All right. A minute and 30 seconds. Have you ever been arrested or had a client file a bar complaint against you or Supreme Court taken any disciplinary actions against you?
No, no, and no. I don't think I've ever had so much as a late library book. So that is an unequivocal no.
Okay. 1 minute. What life experiences have prepared you to be a judge?
Thank you. So in addition to having practiced law for 27 years now, what I've been doing a lot for the last several years is what's called contract work, and I have a service that assigns me cases, and it's all in the courtroom. And so I've been in county court quite a bit doing collections, evictions, that kind of work. I also, at home, referee between a 15-year-old and an 18-year-old boy and 2 rescued Jack Russell Terriers. So if that doesn't qualify me to be a judge, I don't know what does. But in actuality, I do have a variety of experience in every phase of litigation, in every area of litigation, from employment to intellectual property, business litigation, and consumer disputes.
All right, thank you. 1 minute. How would you handle a case in which your sympathies are with the defendant, but the law requires another result? And do you feel that a judge should follow their own moral compass?
I would handle a situation like that professionally, as the position deserves, applying the law in an equal and fair manner. your personal feelings aside, it's very important as a judge to give the air of impartiality so that the community feels comfortable with the fairness that you are imparting as justice. There's time to kind of reflect on your own personal feelings as far as that is concerned once you're not on the bench. But I think that it's of the utmost importance to decide cases in any event in accordance with the law, without fear or favor, and without imposing your own moral preferences.
All right, this is 1 minute. Describe the extent of your law practice and other legal experiences to help you manage a heavy caseload, mostly civil, but also criminal.
Okay, thank you. So as a young lawyer, when I started out, I was doing personal injury defense, and a lot of young lawyers start doing that because it's easy to get a job. But there were times when I was managing caseloads of upwards of 100, 150 cases at a time. And as a young lawyer, sometimes you don't have support staff because the senior partners think that you don't need it. So I was able to manage that very efficiently in terms of managing my dockets and not missing deadlines and being able to give each case the time and energy that it deserves. So I think that my time management skills have really developed very well in terms of caseload management. And I feel like in terms of the courts, we are kind of facing a budget crisis. In fact, the league heard just a couple months ago from the clerk of the court and the chief justice about the budget crisis that we're facing and how courtroom resources have been strained. And so keeping that challenge in mind, I think that I have the ability to manage my caseload as efficiently as possible. Thank you.
All right, this is 1 minute and 30 seconds. In a criminal court sentencing of two co-defendants who committed a serious misdemeanor crime, one is a 30-year-old with a criminal record, and the other is a 19-year-old with no record, how would you sentence each person?
In accordance with the guidelines that are set forth, and I think that...
I don't believe there's guidelines in county court. Are there now guidelines?
There are not.
There are
Okay.
none.
Oh, okay. Well, see, we're all learning something here today. So I would balance the equities, and like one of the previous candidates had said, taking into account all of the evidence that is of record and weighing them very carefully and taking into account all of the external factors that go into that to arrive at a very just and fair resolution.
All right, thank you, and you can return to your seat. All right, at this time, we'll play the video for Judge Miller. Mr. Miller, this is a 1 minute and 30 second, a 90-second question. This is your chance to give an opening statement. We will start, we've already started with Judi Hayes, and now it's your turn, so please start.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for understanding why I could not be there in person today, but I truly appreciate the opportunity to still be part of this conversation, as well as the opportunity to address you today. I am honored to appear before you and seek to retain my seat as a county court judge for Orange County. I respectfully ask for your support based on my career dedication to public service, a commitment to the rule of law, a record of fairness, integrity, and judicial independence. Throughout my professional life, I've had the privilege of serving as a teacher, as a soldier in the United States Army, as a prosecutor, a defense attorney, a civil litigator, and now as a judge. These experiences have provided me with a broad perspective of our justice system and have reinforced the principles that guide me each day. They are the respect for the law, equal justice for all, and the importance of treating every individual who appears before the court with dignity and impartiality. As a judge, I understand public confidence in our courts depends on decisions being based solely on the facts, the law, and the Constitution. My responsibility is not to advocate for a particular outcome, but to ensure that every individual that appears in my court receives a fair hearing before an impartial judge. I approach this responsibility with diligence, preparation, and humility. The judiciary functions best when it's comprised of experienced jurists who are committed to the judicial.
All right, thank you very much. The next question is a 1-minute question. Have you ever been arrested or charged with any kind of crime, or has the Florida Bar or the Supreme Court filed any kind of complaint or taken any disciplinary action against you?
No, I've never been arrested. I have never been disciplined by the Florida Bar or the Supreme Court.
All right, thank you. Number 3, this is a 1-minute. What life experiences has best prepared you to be a judge?
The life experience that has best prepared me to be a judge would have to go to my commitment to public service. I've spent the majority of my life working in public service, but also in my legal career, I've experienced a broad perspective on pretty much every aspect of law that a judge has to face. The ability to have appeared in front of many judges has given me the opportunity to see judges that have an understanding of how the courts should be run impartially and those that bring in a personal bias. So based on my personal experiences through my professional and my personal life, I believe that combination and that broad perspective adequately assists me in being a fair and impartial judge.
All right, thank you very much. Number 4, 1 minute. How would you handle a case in which your sympathies are for the defendant, but the law requires another result? And do you feel that judges should follow their own moral compass?
I do not feel that judges should follow their own moral compass. A judge, their role is to be a fair and impartial trier of the law. When you're sitting as a judge, you have to follow, it's your responsibility to follow the law and not be influenced by outside forces. That includes personal bias or a feeling of sympathy. However, we are all human. So there are certain times where you look at a situation, but ultimately it's a judge's responsibility to follow the law, not to be an advocate for one side or the other, and to fair and justly apply those laws to the situation, or be it civil or criminal.
All right, thank you very much. Next question is a 1 minute question. Describe the extent of your law practice and other legal experience to be able to manage and decide mostly civil cases, but also criminal cases.
I started off my career as a civil attorney in Tennessee. I'm a member of the Tennessee Bar as well as the Florida Bar. After a year of practice in Tennessee, I came to Florida, where I served as a criminal prosecutor in the Ninth Judicial Circuit. When I left the state attorney's office, I became a criminal defense attorney, and I practiced criminal defense law for quite some time. When my wife was pregnant, I then became corporate civil litigator for JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America. At that time, I took the opportunity to go into national service, where I served as a federal prosecutor prosecuting cases involving national security. When I left federal service, I returned to Central Florida, where I was serving as a managing attorney doing medical malpractice and birth injury law prior to taking the bench with Morgan & Morgan.
All right, thank you very much. This is a 1.5 minutes, 90 seconds. In a criminal court sentencing, 2 defendants committed a serious misdemeanor property crime. One is a 30-year-old man with a criminal record, and the other is a 19-year-old with no record. How would you sentence each of those defendants?
When you look at the sentencing guidelines, one, I believe that there is discretion for the court in regards to you look at criminal history. Whenever a conviction comes back, the process is that you receive a sentencing recommendation from the state attorney's office, and you receive an argument from the defense. outline any mitigating factors. And it's the judge's responsibility to look at the recommendation of the state as well as the mitigation from the defense. So if you are looking at an individual that has a vastly extensive criminal history compared to somebody who has no criminal history, I think that does have to be taken into consideration. And it's not especially if there's a great variation as far as age goes, but those are all indicators that would have to be brought up at the sentencing phase after a conviction has been returned by a jury.
All right, well, thank you very much, and this now concludes your questions, so thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we ask that the defendants, the candidates, will the defendants all come? No. Candidates, please come forward and line up here for questions. So all the current candidates that we just had. All right. We're now going to open the forum for the league members to ask questions. Gina Hall, Gina, there she is at the mic to facilitate your questions. Please raise your hand if for some physical reason or otherwise you can't leave your seat and want the microphone brought to you. So please raise your hand. Otherwise, the audience, after question and answer, please remain seated because there are important league announcements that need to be made. Remember, judicial candidates are prohibited from discussing certain subjects. So let's begin.
Good afternoon, I'm back. So we're going to ask each of our folks that want to ask a question, one question please, no comments or follow-up, but one question please, and I'm going to hold the mic. Scott?
Hi, I'm Scott Hodenstein. My heart's in public education advocacy. And one of the things that we talk about a lot is the school-to-prison pipeline. Is there a role for county court judges to play in breaking that, and if so, how?
Who do you want to answer that?
I can answer that first, not to jump in over anybody else, but thank you for raising that question. As I mentioned, my parents are teachers, and so that's a subject that is dear to my heart. I think it's important for judges to be involved in the community, to be teaching in schools, to be educating our youth about the justice system, about our system of government, and encouraging them. So I take this very seriously. I speak at schools often. My mom is a history teacher and teaches civics in her education classes. And so I speak at those classes. I judge moot court competitions. And I think it is important for judges to not just hide in their offices, but to get out there and to be involved in the community and in educating our young people.
And if I can piggyback on that, I obviously know Scott as a public education advocate, and that's part of the background that has made me want to take this new role on as a judge for all the reasons that Judge Adams mentioned, to get back out there in the community and help to show the roles of judges in society, but also other parts of the judicial system, and to show these kids that there is a place for them in society, and to keep supporting public education and to make sure that those resources are available for every single kid and that we can kind of tamp down that school-to-prison pipeline.
I also feel very strongly about that issue for, I guess, on two different sides. One, teachers have such an important role in people's lives. That's why I'm here. My teacher motivated me to go to college and then had a judge come and speak to our class, and that motivated me. But beyond that, talking about students that maybe are getting in a little bit of trouble, they end up in county court, which is misdemeanor court. That is an excellent opportunity for us to look at what's going on and trying to solve the problem. Because I look at problems that we see in front of us kind of like a volcano, if you will, where we're dealing with the explosion, but really the cause is underneath the surface. And if we can get under there and fix what caused that problem that brought them to court, then we have a chance to redirect them and hopefully motivate them instead of going that path to actually maybe go to law school, be a lawyer, and help out our community?
I was going to say, I know this question has gotten long, but I currently volunteer in teen court, which is a trial diversion program for juveniles who have committed their first offense. And I volunteered there prior to being a mom, and now I have a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old, and it absolutely informs how you want to make decisions. You understand that good people can make bad decisions, and especially if they're juveniles, they should be given an opportunity to enter a diversion program. So if elected, that is definitely something that I would like to encourage and utilize more.
I think it's important that you get into your communities. Orange County Public Schools does teach-in, so going to the public schools and saying what judges do, what lawyers do, what is their role, knowing your rights seminars that I've done with the Boys and Girls Club here in Central Florida. Also making sure I've served on an advisory council position for the Orlando Youth Academy, which is a program for juveniles, and making sure that juveniles not just see judges when they're on the bench and obviously dealing with them, but that you see them in their community. You go to their schools, you're talking to them at different organizations and venues they are, so they understand the opportunities they have and the choices and the consequences of some of those choices that they can make.
Thanks, Scott. Linda?
Good afternoon. I am just curious because we're finding a lot of our judges are skewed, and I was wondering how many of you are members of the Federalist Society?
Nobody wants to take the mic on that question. So I'll answer that question. So our county needs good judges. And so when there was an opening in 2023 that was outside of an election cycle, I sought that position. The only way to get a judicial position outside of the election cycle is to apply. And the Federalist Society is a part of that process. So I am a member of the Federalist Society, and you and I have discussed that. And you know, I want to note that, you know, Judge McDonald mentioned this at the beginning, that judges take an oath to the Constitution, right? So the application process and the appointment process is certainly seen as political, but I want to assure you that when judges take the bench, we swear an oath to the Constitution of the country and to the state of Florida, and that's an oath that we take seriously. Judges are not beholden to any particular party, any particular ideology, or any particular governor.
Anybody else want to answer that question?
I can say no, just no.
That's what I was going to say. No, I'm not a member.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, now.
Did you have a question? Oh, hold it. Hang on. One more question.
There's been a lot of talk both in the state legislature and federal about Sharia, Islamic Sharia, and it's being a threat to America. And one of our state legislatures, you know, says, oh, it's the most heavily litigated foreign law in, you know, and that we can't have this and we have to have special laws against it to, you know, et cetera. So I'm just wondering.
You need to ask a question, a brief.
Well, my question is, what is your knowledge and what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I can start by saying, as an attorney in the state of Florida, all of us take an oath to uphold the laws of the state of Florida and the United States Constitution. That would be the only thing that comes into play when you're making a decision from the bench.
And I'll note as well, our answers are really restricted here because the rules, the judicial canons prohibit any judge or any candidate from commenting on how they would rule on any case that could come before them. And that sounds like an issue that could potentially come before us. So again, I'll echo that we swear an oath to the Constitution and to apply that faithfully, but we're not allowed to make any comment on any political issue or on any issue that may come before us as judges.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We have another question.
I have the clock, so I know I have time for a question. So I never get to do this. So I loved your answers to Scott's question about school and student to pipeline, jail to school to whatever. Anyway, every one of you gave the answer about getting out in the community and talking to people. But then we heard the statistics about how busy judges are, the caseloads. So how do you have time to get out and do public service stuff as well as keep up with your caseloads.
Can I point to just the number of judges who are sitting in the room today who have found the time to come and join us and do their civic duty? Thank you.
Exactly. We all only have the same number of hours in a day, right? Everybody has the same amount of time, but with that, we choose how we spend our time, right? We do have to manage our caseload, and obviously that is our main priority, that is our duty, that is what we're getting paid to do, and that is our job, and we're going to take that very seriously. But we have to work hard as county judges. It's not a position to just sit back and relax. A county court judge works incredibly hard. When I took the bench, I had 13,000 cases in county civil. Right? 13,000. Obviously, I can't look at every single one of those, but I'm proud that by the time I left, it was closer to 9,000 cases because I had taken steps to manage that caseload and to still get out there in the community. So we do give up some sleep with that, and we are very busy, but this is our duty, this is our responsibility, and is our privilege to be able to serve that way.
I think also one thing we can do, and I do this as a public defender, is anyone, and this goes for everyone in this room too, if anyone knows a student, a high school student or a college student that wants to know more about what's going on, I invite them to spend the day with me and explain the whole process to them. So I'm still doing my work, I'm still doing my job, but they get to see firsthand how the court system works, and sometimes it motivates them to go into that area of law or to help their community. Other times it wakes them up. It wakes them up to how the system works. But if anybody is interested in that, just contact me and I can definitely accommodate that. And as a judge, I would always do the same thing, encourage people to come to court and get that experience.
And I think it's important to make sure you're getting out of the four corners of your office, the courthouse walls, making sure you're getting in the community, that you don't lose touch with what is real life and what is happening outside of those four walls. So I think like Judge Adams said, you have time restrictions. There are only 24 hours in a day, but it's important that you use those 24 hours efficiently, and get out there. And so that's why it's important to go to the schools, to talk to different organizations. I have two little people, and so I want to show those two little people things that are in the community and make sure it's important to them to enjoy the community that they live in and understand their responsibilities to give back. And so it's making sure that just because you're a judge and just because we all have jobs, that we're also getting out in our community and touching different people's lives.
I was going to say, one of the things that I noticed about this panel is that we are all women. So just that question kind of reminded me of something that I talk to a lot of young women lawyers about, and a lot of them will ask about work-life balance, and I like to say that everything runs in seasons. 10 years ago, I had little people, and it would be very difficult for me to run for county court judge and do the community service that's required of the job. But that season has passed for me, and I think we all sort of fill in our time with what we can do for the community based on what's happening, in our personal life.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, and you can return to your seats. My part of this program is done, and I want to thank all of you for your help in making this meeting a success. Before we close, please stay seated for announcements from the co-president, Kafi Sheeran. Thank you.
Thank you to our moderator, Judge McDonald. And also to all the candidates who have taken the time to be with us today, and more importantly, are willing to serve our community and take part in the democratic process. All right, we can put the slides up now. I'm going to talk about some calls to action, what the League members can do. In addition to all the ways we hope you regularly engage, we have several special requests. Our summer match campaign that Lee spoke about before, please help us meet our goal. Next, you can add your name to the petition that requests full funding of our courts and restore the funding for the Victim of Crimes Act. Next, vote by mail requests are down dramatically. Go to the Supervisor of Elections website and check your status. If you need a vote by mail ballot request, you can even call the Supervisor of Elections office directly, and they'd be happy to help you. And pay attention to redistricting. This is the first election season where we have 2 new county commissioners and the state's mid-decade redistricting. And finally, the new voter ID law that you've heard so much about does not take place until January 1st. So there is no changes to the upcoming election in August and November. And now, upcoming events. On June 13th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Equal Ground is sponsoring a Florida legislative session debrief at the Experience Christian Center. You can go to equalground.com to register. There's no charge for this event. On June 18th, the League is partnering with the Hope Community Center for an Orange County Candidate Forum for the candidates for Orange County Mayor and District 2 Commissioner. For more information, you can see the flyer that's on your table. Just be aware of the venue change. It is not at the Apopka High School anymore. The DEIA Committee is having a social justice book club on June 17th at 7 p.m. via Zoom. And our 2026 LWVFL State Council is July 11th and 12th at Rollins College. More details to come on that. And we're having a virtual new member welcome on July 14th at 6 p.m. There will be no Hot Topics overtime today, but you can join us next month for our July 15th Hot Topics, Habeas Forum, candidates for the Circuit Court Judge. And finally, please complete our event survey. We are listening, and as you can see, we've made changes with the display of our panelists on the large screens. And now we are also looking into closed captioning. So stay tuned. We do value your feedback. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you for coming today.